Who are we talking to?
Ourselves. Welcome back to the Mc&Marren podcast, and today we are starting a new series, Oh the Horror! So this series we will be focusing on classic horror monsters, villains, and characters. What makes them so great, which ones have stood the test of time, and ultimately our random thoughts about them, because as always, this is just our random thoughts.
And first up we have Count Dracula.
Blah, blah, blah. All right, so Dracula, as the story, was written in 1897 by Irish author Bram Stoker. Raise your hand if you did not know Bram Stoker was Irish until you looked it up for research for this podcast. You did not know he was Irish.
Bram is not...
Stoker is not an Irish name.
Maybe not, but the first name clued me.
All right, okay.
All right.
Colin's apparently smarter than us all.
Well, we kind of already knew that.
Anywho, it was written in 1897 and is responsible for most of the modern vampire lore. Some of the pieces of Bram Stoker's Dracula that have stood the test of time in terms of what we think of for vampires are things like no reflections in mirrors, aversions to crosses, and holy water.
They can also transform into bats and even wolves.
They can climb up the side of buildings with ease.
Yep.
Bram Stoker did not invent the concept of the vampire. He just wrote down the story.
Yeah, there's been several versions of the vampire all throughout the world in various folklore stories.
Yes, but Dracula as a character is one that has stood the test of time. He is now, his story is over 100 years old.
Yep.
He is officially in the public domain.
Yep, and he's the first character that everyone thinks of when you hear the word vampire.
He is. He's a classic movie monster.
Yep. The first ever film about Dracula was actually not named Dracula. It was actually called Nosferatu. That was made in 1922.
And why did we have to go with that instead of Dracula?
Because it didn't get the copyright.
Copyright!
Actually, when it first was released, it got everyone so mad that they actually ordered all copies of the film to be destroyed. Now, obviously, the film was still around. That's why we can still watch it to this day. But the most famous Dracula movie is a 1931 Universal film starring Bela Lugosi as the Count himself.
Yay! Iconic, classic, true.
Because this version would go on to inspire Count Von Count of Sesame Street.
That version would go on to inspire everybody. I mean, there are so many good iterations of Count Dracula, and a lot of them stray very far from the classic
book
vampire that we all know and love. And I think that's what we're going to talk about today mostly, is where Dracula, put in air quotes, has made appearances in pop culture. Which ones are our favorites, and which ones do we just look at and go, why? Why? Why?
So, since Colin brought it up, let's talk about the Count from Sesame Street.
Count Von Count.
1, 2, Classic Sesame Street. I think it goes without saying that you know you have made it when you're on Sesame Street. Like, yes. I feel like as a celebrity, if you get invited to do Sesame Street or the Muppets, that's like a key point of your career.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So to have a Muppet or a puppet or a caricature of your character, I feel like Bram Stoker would be he'd be confused because he'd be like, what is this that I'm watching? But he would also be like, wow.
But which
cool.
sounds more impressive? I have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I was with the Muppets.
Yeah, I mean...
I was with the Muppets.
What sounds better? I have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, or I met Big Bird.
Yep. So, fun fact, Count Von Count actually first appeared on Sesame Street in 1972 and has been around ever since.
Didn't realize.
Yeah, he's been around for quite a long time.
So, he's obviously the quintessential Sesame Street Count. He taught most people how to count, hence the name.
Yep.
It's a fun little gag vampire. He's not scary. He's not dangerous. He's a training wheel vampire, if you will.
Yeah. And, I mean, for most little kids, that's probably what their first intro to a vampire...
quote-unquote vampire
is.
Now, that being said, I think we could switch gears here to a very family-friendly, we've mentioned him before on the podcast, version of Dracula that was so good, it got not one, not two, but like 3+ movies? Four movies?
And a TV
show. And a TV slot, and that would be Hotel Transylvania's Drac.
Yep. Blah, blah, blah.
I don't say blah, blah, blah.
Unless I'm saying I don't say blah, blah, blah.
So this one actually does delve a little bit into more vampire lore and vampire history when we first meet Drac, because he talks about his whole thing was he wanted to create a safe haven for him and his wife.
Yep.
Wants to be left alone from humans. He thinks humans are evil. But at the end of the day, he's a very caring dad who is voiced by Adam Sandler, and It was great. Mm-hmm. And it's just so cheesy.
Yes.
But there's also his father, Vlad, who they both represent different takes on Dracula in stories. You have Vlad, who is I'm going to live by myself in the dark with my minions.
Leave me alone.
And I will attack any human who comes near me.
Mm-hmm. Leave me alone.
And then you have Dracula, he's more personable. He is the more...
I'm going to go out.
Interacting with people.
Yeah. However, when, the reason why he thinks humans are evil is that humans unfortunately killed his wife.
He lost his wife very tragically. It's a very sad story. I will say, the entire Hotel Transylvania franchise is a great family-friendly monster series. It's also great to watch any time of the year. You don't have to wait for Halloween, which I feel like as we're doing the Horror series, I feel like we're going to touch base on a lot of things that we will either talk about in Halloween season or eventually talk about at Halloween season, because, Halloween, we review all the spooky stuff. Yeah. But the Horror is year-round. So.
I mean, Hotel Transylvania 3 is all of them going on summer vacation.
On a cruise.
Although the third one does introduce Helsing and him hunting down monsters.
Yes, which is a key of the story.
Which was a surprising introduction for me, because I was thinking, the family-friendly...
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so if vampires aren't out there
hurting people,
humans, then why would they be hunted?
Yes. So you will hear this name continually throughout this as we talk about different versions of Dracula. But Van Helsing, the vampire hunter, the vampire killer, whatever you want to call him, essentially he's here to take down Dracula.
Yes.
Some iterations he wins, some iterations he doesn't. The story that you're watching really does depend on the outcome. However, that leads us to another great cinematic version of Dracula. The actor played it so well. The movie is great. It's got a ton of great lines. It's a little more on the older kids side of the spectrum, so not for little kids.
More like a teen audience.
Yeah. As always, parents, make sure to double check the rating and the reviews before you show this to your kids.
Yep.
And that would be it came out in 2003?
2004.
2004's Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman playing Van Helsing. If you want a vampire movie where you are going to be rooting for Van Helsing the whole time, this is the movie.
Yeah, so Universal, back in the 30s and 40s, they were the ones that introduced the classic movie monsters to the world, like Dracula, Wolfman, Frankenstein, all that stuff. And then over the years, they've had several attempts to reboot their monster franchise, and Van Helsing was one of them.
Yes. Essentially, they wanted kind of like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where everything's connected.
But it was going to be called the Dark Universe.
Yeah, and it was going to be called the Dark Universe. And, you know, kind of like an Into the Woods concept where all the stories are connected, all the monsters know each other. You know, maybe they play golf or something, who knows. Van Helsing, the 2004 Van Helsing is the closest they have gotten to doing that successfully.
Yeah.
And because it not only featured Dracula, but it featured the Wolfman
and Frankenstein. Yeah.
So that's three of the big ones.
Yeah, so
right there.
So basically the main plot of the 2004 Van Helsing is that Dracula actually hired Dr. Frankenstein.
Did they also have Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in that one? Or am I...
No, they didn't have Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
No, I'm confused.
You're thinking of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Okay.
Yeah, that one
came out around the same time.
Yeah.
Also a good movie. Totally... it did not. It is a great movie. It did not get the box office it deserved.
Sorry, my mind went off on a tangent.
Yeah, well, that's a topic for another thing. But so the main plot of Van Helsing is that it was actually Dracula who hired Dr. Frankenstein to create his signature monster, and the reason why he wanted to create the signature monster was that he wanted to figure out a way to avoid death.
He wanted to have children.
But every time he tried to have vampire children, they would last maybe an hour or so. They would not survive within a few hours after being born.
The line from the movie is, Dracula is the undead. It only makes sense that his children would be born dead.
So he wants Dr. Frankenstein to create his monster to figure out how to stop death.
It's not really stop death, it's create life.
Create life from death.
Yes.
And then Dracula actually uses werewolves as like his enforcers, or like to essentially do his bidding.
Yes. So without giving away all the spoilers, because this is a movie that I would encourage people to go see if they haven't already watched it.
Yeah.
Just once again, make sure you're checking the ratings on all your movies before your kids watch them.
You know what? Colin is actually right. They do have Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in Van Helsing. He fights him in the beginning, but he kills him.
Oh, you're right.
Ha! Vindication.
Vindication. Yes, you are right. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is in it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, he's in it for like the briefest part of the beginning.
It does count. That's actually one. Yes. Wait. At the same time, I would like the record to show that this movie also came out around the same time as League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which also features Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and a lot of other classic literary characters. So including Mina Harker, who is in Dracula. So it's very easy to get them all kerfuffled.
Yeah. So Van Helsing is definitely one that, while it did not do well at the box office and was very kind of middled reviews when it first came out, it is actually, we really love the movie, and a lot of people it's basically a cult classic.
It is. And just a side note is that it also stars the beautiful Kate Beckinsale, who at the same time as doing Van Helsing was also doing the Underworld franchise series, which is also about vampires but does not feature Dracula.
No.
But it's just, when you find your niche and you're really good at it, because for a while she was like the go-to vampire movie person.
Yeah.
Like if you were going to do a monster movie, you needed to call Kate Beckinsale and get her on the phone.
Yeah, I'm just double checking to see who played Dracula in Van Helsing.
That guy.
Richard Roxburgh.
Richard Roxburgh, who is also in Moulin Rouge. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. He is the villain of Moulin Rouge.
Huh.
Okay.
Yeah. He's basically the evil, rich guy who is anti-love.
He wants Satine for himself,
He's
right?
anti-love. He's just...
So it's good at playing evil rich guys.
He's good at playing evil rich guys.
Yeah, but
Dracula,
he
evil,
does...
rich.
But he plays Dracula a little bit better than...
Dracula, yeah. Dracula was so much better.
Also, just because we're talking about Universal movie monsters, Van Helsing does two things that actually kind of add to the monster lore a little bit. So, like I mentioned earlier, Dracula actually uses werewolves as enforcers, what's interesting is that, so typically in werewolf lore, they start their transformation during the full moon, but then they transform into human once the sun rises. However, in Van Helsing, what happens is, after the first full moon and they transform into werewolves and stay that way.
You're stuck.
Stay that way forever. So you do not ever transform back into a human unless you're killed.
But we will focus on werewolves, aka the Wolfman,
Another
in
time.
his own episode.
Now,
Yes.
Not going too deep into werewolves here, but more of just how vampires and werewolves are depicted here is, for a lot of the times you'll see them depicted as being enemies of each other.
Mm-hmm.
But in classic literature, no, they're on the same side.
Yeah.
They're both predators of the night.
Yep.
There is only one myth I heard about werewolves hunting vampires, but we'll get to that in the werewolf episode.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
a different
Different thing.
So, but let's pivot and go back to family, wholesome, happy Draculas.
Yes.
Happy Draculas.
That's an oxymoron.
I got another one for you. Also mentioned in one of our podcasts, Papa Drac from
Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other hand, Dracula from Reluctant Werewolf,
Now-
which happens after and is a separate Dracula.
So what Colin is pointing out here is that Dracula is one of the few characters in the Scooby-Doo universe to have not one, but two portrayals.
Actually, three.
Three?
Who's the third?
I didn't really count the third one because it's just a guy pretending to be
Oh.
Dracula.
Oh.
It's,
Posers.
Usual Scooby-Doo shenanigans. A
Yeah.
guy dressed as a monster.
Yeah, so let's not count him.
Posers.
So, but yeah, Papa Drac in Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School
Father of Sibella.
is basically
Dad of the Year.
the Bela Lugosi Dracula, just with purple skin.
Yeah.
And then in Reluctant Werewolf, he has green skin now. He's meaner, he's more conceited. He turns Shaggy into a werewolf because every year he does a big race with all the other classic movie monsters, and the Wolfman canceled at the last minute, and he wanted a werewolf. So he said... So he
Does that
cursed
make him
Shaggy.
a bad person?
So he cursed Shaggy and then said, "Okay, I'll turn you back into human if you win the race."
I mean,
Motivation, okay? It's motivation. And if anything, that just highlights what a stickler for tradition Dracula is. You know, he's an old school guy. He's lived for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Couldn't handle having one person not be in the race.
Well, the question is, did the werewolf RSVP? Did he RSVP yes and then said he wasn't coming? Because that will grind anyone's gears. If you're going to RSVP to a party, make sure that if you RSVP yes, you attend.
Yep.
Please and thank you. This is your public service announcement.
Yep. So, so another version that I'm more familiar with is that, so Dracula and vampires in general are canon in both DC Comics and Marvel Comics. They've made several appearances in several stories. But however, my favorite is from the Avengers Assemble animated show. There's an episode where the Black Widow is transformed into a vampire, and Dracula is essentially blackmailing Captain America, basically like, you know, you must save her because I need you to do something. And then it turns out that Captain America knows so much about vampires because he and Dracula teamed up against the Red Skull when Hydra was invading Transylvania.
Well, you gotta fight the Nazis.
Also, to be fair, when you have a character who zips around time without changing,
Yeah.
like gets frozen in a block of ice for several decades, yeah, maybe they know each
He's
other.
gonna run into some people a couple of times.
Yeah, but it's just-
I'm more taken aback by the fact that the plot point there is we turn the Black Widow, who's already deadly in her own right.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna turn her into a vampire and hold her hostage. I'm sorry, does anybody besides me see the blaringly giant hole in this logic?
I did see a scene from that episode, though, because after she gets turned, because vampires can't see their reflection, she runs head first into a mirror and knocks herself out.
Okay. Yep. That doesn't make her any less deadly. That just learning curve, okay?
Yep. Although, so the main reason why Dracula transformed her into a vampire was because she was investigating. Apparently, the Red Skull came back and is actually blackmailing Dracula, and she was trying to figure out what was going on in Transylvania, and Dracula transformed her to a vampire.
I'm just saying that I don't think transforming the killer assassin into a vampire was a smart choice.
Also, we're going to turn the Hulk?
He did actually transform the Hulk into a vampire in the episode, too.
That's terrifying. That's worse. It's so much worse.
Can't we turn someone like Hawkeye?
Yeah. Well, he's also deadly, but... was Ant-Man unavailable for that episode?
No.
Okay.
Well, Ant-Man was not in that episode, but yeah. So, but it turns out that the way to stop the transformation from vampire is to essentially give Black Widow a blood transfusion from the Hulk's blood, because gamma radiation in the Hulk's blood destroys the vampire blood.
And why would this work? Because it's radiation. And where do we get most of our radiation from, boys and girls? The sun. Which that ties into the reason why Dracula doesn't go outside in the daylight.
Also, just the fact that, in me summarizing the episode, how much of a complex do you have to have for the Red Skull to blackmail the king of all vampires?
Yes, pretty bad.
Is he a king or is he a count?
In this episode, he's.
Does it count if he's a king?
Well, Steve says that he doesn't like being called count because he sees it as an insult, but Dracula in the episode is king of the vampires.
Okay, so that's the Marvel version.
That's the Marvel version.
What is the DC version of Dracula?
The DC version of Dracula is kind of the same thing, but he kind of just keeps to himself. Doesn't
like
really,
Batman.
Doesn't really, but he does actually fight Batman on a couple of stories. The one of them is the Batman versus Count Dracula, where Dracula somehow, for whatever reason, is brought to Gotham City, and Batman ends up fighting him.
I believe the Penguin has Dracula brought into Gotham, and then tries to get something from the coffin that might be, pricey or whatever, only to get bit.
That's a terrible idea.
The most terrifying thing is the Joker becomes a vampire.
That's a terrible idea as well.
Yeah. But another vampire story that happens to relate to Dracula is it's an Elseworld story, which is essentially DC's version of What If, or like the Marvel multiverse, where Dracula bites Batman into becoming a vampire, and he must fight off the urge to drink blood. And actually, the Joker is the one playing the version of Van Helsing in the story.
I'm sure he had fun with that.
Oh, I'm sure he did. So that's basically the Marvel and DC version of Dracula. There are other stories, but those are the two main ones that are notable for featuring the character.
I remember watching the Batman versus Dracula when it showed on TV for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my favorite part was after Dracula starts attacking people, all of his crimes are put on Batman, because who else in Gotham is dressing like a bat and fighting people?
Yeah, I mean, Batman has been thought of as a vampire, by people who don't even know what he is. In fact, there's the Justice League animated movie. Green Lantern's like,
someone didn't drink their true blood tonight.
Yeah, I'm not a vampire. What? Don't tell me you're a normal man in a costume. Oh, come on! So what's another... Colin, you actually had a list. So what's another family-friendly version of Dracula?
Grant, for this one, we're going to delve into Cartoon Network's Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Grandpa Dracula.
Oh, yeah.
And who is he the grandfather of? He's the grandfather of Urkel, one of the side characters, who is later revealed, because we find out that, one, his grandpa is Dracula, but who's his mom? His mom is a mummy, making Urkel half mummy and 1/4 vampire. Which...
we don't have time to unpack all of that.
And he has a cool transformation and fighting scenes in the Underfist movie that takes place after the events of the show.
Now, truth be told, I was not that big of a fan of the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. I did watch a couple episodes, but it was just like, it was not for me. So I only seen like the Grandpa Drac episodes and was kind of just like, okay.
My favorite was the musical episode with the brain-eating monster.
Although I did like the Halloween episode.
Music performed by Voltaire.
Yes. Next up. What you got, Colin?
Well, actually, the grandpa from the Munsters.
Grandpa
Sam Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
Not confirmed to be the Count, but referenced as... Not confirmed to be the Count Dracula of legend, but called the Count a few times and heavily hinted to be that Dracula.
And is just a great character. He's a mad scientist who lives mostly in the basement. Love him. He's a great character. I mean, it's a great character. And he's nice and friendly. And yeah, okay, sometimes we have to have a little bit about how B negative tastes better than A positive. Who knows? But he's funny.
Yeah. And, it's like you were mentioning that, he's not really sure of the Count, but he's pretty much inspired by Bela Lugosi.
Oh, yeah. That's like the Temu version of Bela Lugosi.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't call him the Temu version, more like the Wayfair version.
No, not the Wayfair version.
Okay. Or like the Amazon version.
What was it before we had Temu? What was it? It was
I don't know.
There was something that existed before Temu. Anyway, what was it? If you know, please leave us a comment.
Anyway. So, but yeah, Grandpa Drac from the Munsters. And weirdly enough, the Munsters are not as popular as the Addams Family.
It's all marketing. It's marketing.
I would have killed for a crossover.
It was all marketing. I think there's probably a lot, I feel like that's going to have to be its own episode, The Munsters versus the Addams Family, because I loved both shows. Growing up, I watched both of them on TV Land. It was great. Absolutely love it. I think the reason why the Munsters probably weren't as popular as the Addams Family, though, just if I had to give a one-off reason, is because whereas everyone in the Addams Family is kooky and spooky, the Munsters had Marilyn, who was the normal one, and she was seen as the ugly duckling of the family. And so whereas the Addams Family never said there was anything wrong with being normal, the Munsters downright said, nope, that's wrong. But it was, it was to highlight the nonconformity of the characters, which I think that was ultimately what led to it. Also, different types of comedy, I would say. Different types of comedy. I mean, very similar in style, but very different.
Yeah.
But I vote come closer to Halloween season, we do a Monsters versus Addams Family.
Yes.
Also, we're definitely going to have, after we do all the big names, we're going to have to come back around and do vampires in general.
Oh, yes. Speaking of Addams Family, just a side note, the first trailer for season 3 of Wednesday for Netflix dropped today. Yay. Yep. Just so you know, we don't record on the days we release the podcast. We recorded this a couple of days ago. So if you haven't gone to watch it, it reveals who all is in the cast that they're currently in production, except there's one question mark, meaning that person might not be in it, and my cat just knocked something off the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go see
I'm going to go see what the cats just did. But while you're waiting for that part of your life, go watch the Netflix thing. Here, keep talking about Dracula. I'm going to go check on the cats.
Okay, another version of Dracula is played by Rudolph Martin for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV show. Not the movie, the TV show.
Yeah.
Although Tori would suggest that you go watch both.
Yes. I did not watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That's more Tori's thing. So...
He was weird.
He was going to have to wait for her to come back, but
I'm back! For those of you who are wondering, what was it the cats did? They knocked stuff off the counter. Welcome to owning cats.
Mm-hmm.
Gravity works, especially with cats.
The Buffy episode featuring Dracula, he has a very, very, very small role. He's not, he's there. We talk about him. We see an allusion to a transformation. He only got one episode. And let's be honest, the really cool part about it was where Buffy was like, "You've heard of me. That's so cool." And then that's pretty much it, yeah.
I believe his main thing in the Buffy series is that he's died a lot.
A lot.
But he's one of the few vampires who just comes back.
Yeah, but fun fact is he gets his one Buffy episode and we never see him again.
Yep.
Which is not uncommon for villains in the Buffy universe. But if you're a really good villain in Buffy, they bring you back. Case in point, Drusilla.
Alright.
Next.
What's another one?
Another one. This is from a movie called Monster Family, played by Jason Isaacs.
So we watched the trailer. Justin and I watched the trailer. We have not seen it.
The show. I actually watched the movie.
It looks very family friendly. I don't think we're gonna watch it.
No. It looks like, I don't even know who animated it. I don't know what studio it came out of. It looks like a very cheaply done animated movie.
But they got Jason Isaacs.
Yeah.
For those
we love Jason Isaacs.
For those who are curious, the movie Monster Family features a family of 4 dysfunctional family members whose names have completely escaped me. But you have...
One of them's Frank.
You have the dad, the mom, the daughter, and the son. And they are not happy in their lives. But they're all going to a costume party, and the mom's having a problem with her vampire costume. So she calls support for the costume company, accidentally calling Dracula, who, for some reason...
has a cell phone.
And looking her up, he thinks, she's pretty. I want her to be mine. And so he gets Baba Yaga to turn her and the family all into what their costumes are.
Okay.
And
only when they're happy will they return to being human.
So, yeah, that's
the premise. That's the show. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
So, as I was listening, I did think of one that I vaguely remember watching this growing up. So, Hanna-Barbera, they did a lot of different TV shows during their reign. I remember watching an episode of this. I couldn't remember what it was for the life of me, but I just found it. It's called the Drac Pack. It was a 1980 animated TV show from Hanna-Barbera about the descendants of the Universal movie monsters fighting for good.
Okay.
Here's the basic premise. The series centers around 3 young men, Drake Jr., Frankie, and Howler, descendants of Count Dracula, the Frankenstein's monster, and the Wolfman, to atone for their ancestors' wrongdoings. What?
That's Drac Jr., not Drake.
Drake.
I'm sorry, he's not a duck.
Quack.
Drac Jr. To atone for their ancestors' wrongdoings, the 3 united as the Drac Pack to become superheroes. They appear initially as normal humans, but whenever trouble arises, they strike their right hands together and shout, "Wacko!" This is called the Drac Whack. They transform into a vampire, a Frankenstein monster, and a werewolf, respectively.
I'm going to speak on behalf of Bram Stoker here. I beg your finest pardon?
On a side note...
To put that in an Irish accent?
On a side note, there is a Count Dracula.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
From DuckTales. The original DuckTales.
Woo!
Woo.
Every day we're out here making DuckTales. Woo! Okay, I'm done.
All right. You got any other versions of Dracula?
There's one from a movie called Dear Dracula. It's lesser known. I don't remember who was in it, but... What are you whispering about?
Nothing. I'm asking him a question. If I wanted to ask you a question, I'd ask you a question.
I did read that Tara Strong was in it. But the whole plot is you have a kid who is a big fan of Dracula and writes to him like a pen pal. And Dracula gets the idea from this one fan's mail to go and visit him because he's feeling put down because no one really respects him anymore and he doesn't feel scary anymore. So it's a very child-friendly.
Okay. I was asking him because I had to step away for a minute, did you talk about Morgan Freeman?
We had not, no.
Morgan Freeman. For
the Electric Company, which was a TV show.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They had Morgan Freeman play as Count Dracula in some of their shorts. But he also played another vampire called Vincent the Vampire, who ate vegetables.
He was the vegetarian, Vincent the vegetarian vampire.
Yep.
You have to get the alliteration there. Vincent the vegetarian vampire.
Vegetarian vampires is also a thing in various fiction.
It is. However, it is not usually synonymous with Dracula.
No.
Although usually when they mean vegetarian, they mean that they eat animals instead of people.
As Colin has pointed out, we're going to have another episode where we just talk about vampires.
In this case, no, he just eats vegetables.
So there's your public service announcement to eat your vegetables.
Although for Dracula in Hotel Transylvania, he drinks a blood substitute.
Yes.
So.
I can't believe it's not blood.
Yeah.
Bless you.
All right. Bless you.
Okay, so question now that we've kind of gone through the gambit of the versions of Dracula that we know exist. Who is everyone's favorite? The one that you will watch again and again and again and again and again.
Mine is probably, well, obviously the Universal Monster one, but we're not going to talk about that one. But I think Hotel Transylvania, that series, like, I didn't watch it when it first came out, but I watched it when it came out on DVD around Halloween, and the series has definitely grown on me a lot. Adam Sandler voices a very memorable Dracula. Of course, the animation by animation legend Genndy Tartakovsky is also very well done. I think out of the whole series, my favorite is Hotel Transylvania 3, Summer Vacation. I just think the animation is beautiful. Taking the characters out of their original setting is also very interesting for a story. And yeah, so my favorite kid-friendly version of Dracula is Dracula from Hotel Transylvania.
I did realize that we did not necessarily talk about the versions of Bram Stoker's Dracula that have been made into a movie. These typically have a older audience rating on them, so parents once again watch those. But there is the one with named Gary Oldman playing Dracula. That was a casting choice. I'm not sure we'd make that one again.
It was an okay casting choice. It's just the costume was weird.
But, and then most recently, just came to the United States this past month, is a new version of Bram Stoker's with Caleb Landry Jones. I do actually like the Bram Stoker Dracula movies. That being said, for a Dracula that I can watch again and again and again, I also do have to lean towards Hotel Transylvania. And because I enjoy so many different types of vampire media, I think that is because I enjoy so many different types. Like, I like a lot of different vampire movies and TV shows that are not Dracula. They're just a vampire. But for this is Dracula, this is Drac, I do like Hotel Transylvania. It's happy, it's wholesome. It's a good, clean comedy. And there aren't a lot of good, clean comedies anymore.
Colin?
Yeah, unfortunately, we're going to have to be boring. Hotel Transylvania, if we're going full family friendly, is the way to go for Dracula. Now, if we're doing vampires as a general, we might have different answers.
Yeah, we will have an episode at a later time where we talk strictly vampires.
But when it comes to Dracula as a character, he's not always depicted in a family-friendly light.
No.
Granted, he is usually eating the family.
Dinner, a family activity.
It's the family meal deal.
That's so bad. And that is something that we are going to have to say while we're doing this the horror thing, is that a lot of these characters, they're monsters, they're villains, they're dark. They're not little kid approved always. Some of them a little more so than others. Which we will talk about them as we go through the Horror series. This is a good time to mention that later this year we will be doing a Patreon channel where we will have where we will talk about the movie reviews for movies that are not little kid friendly, or characters that are not exactly family friendly. We will be talking about those at a later time, but on this platform, on this podcast, the Mc&Marren podcast in this media is family friendly.
Yes.
And we want to keep it family friendly because that's very important.
Yes.
Now,
just because we're family friendly does not mean we can't talk about the monsters. Mm-hmm. And in fact, let's all give a big round of applause for the Universal parks and their new
Dark Universe.
Their Dark Universe land, because although they haven't been able to make it work for their movies, they are making it work for the theme parks.
Yes.
Can't wait to go.
But yeah, in regards to the monsters being mostly that, I think the closest you're going to get is either, for Dracula being a hero, is either a thing like in Dear Dracula or Hotel Transylvania, where he's just a guy. But if you're going for like live action stuff, the closest you're gonna get maybe is Dracula Untold, where he's a good person driven to do bad things.
Yes.
I did not like Dracula Untold. I will say that right now.
I mean, it wasn't a fan favorite. Let's go with that one. Unlike Van Helsing and unlike League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, it did not get a cult following later.
No.
Now here's a question. Is Dracula better when he is a full-on villain?
No.
Or when he is a tortured protagonist?
Tortured protagonist, 100%.
I think full-on villain.
I think tortured protagonist. But that's because, go ahead. Say it's because I'm a romantic and I'm a girl. I don't care. I really enjoyed the storyline where Dracula has been driven to whatever he's doing because of the loss he feels for the love that he had. In Bram Stoker's Dracula, it is the loss of his wife In Hotel Transylvania, it is his wife who was killed by the humans. If you really want to push the envelope on this platform, that I'm going to push it here, for Van Helsing, he wants a family. He's a family man. That's really pushing the envelope. No, he's not. He's really not.
He is cartoonishly evil.
He wants to create an army of children to take over the world.
I mean, hey. But I think that he does better when there's a tortured element to him because it humanizes him a little bit. And I personally always think that the villains are so much more rounded when there's an element of humanity to them, because it's like when you see a megalomaniac villain who's just being psycho to be psycho, it's very hard to get on their platform. But when you meet a villain who is like, I am going to drown this city because my wife was in the hospital and nobody would help her and it drove her mad and now she threw herself into the harbor, so I'm going to drown the city because nobody helped her. I can kind of see that, sir. I see the crazy. I see where we're going. I'm not 100% on board, but I get it. Or a better example. Sorry, that one was a really weird one I made off the top of my head. But a better example is Mr. Freeze from Batman.
Mm-hmm.
He did the whole cryogenic thing to save his dying wife.
Yep.
That's all he wanted to do, was get a cure for his wife's condition and save her. And because of the way that had to manifest, he became a villain. But you know what? He's a family man. And he actually is a family man. He's doing this whole thing for his wife. But that's one of the things that makes him such a well-rounded villain, because you're like, yes, you're evil, but I see your point.
Now for Mr. Freeze. Also, isn't he a doctor?
Yes.
Why do they call him Dr. Freeze?
Why don't we call Harley Quinn Dr. Harley Quinn? I don't know.
We call her Dr. Harley Quinn when she's in the room so she doesn't kill us.
Because the doctor thing is done to death. But yes, so I do agree with Tori in some aspects, because this one is definitely not family friendly, but I highly recommend it for the adult audiences. Watch the Netflix's animated Castlevania animated series. Oh, yeah. That is a great show. It portrays Dracula in a very similar light to that, because he falls in love with a human, but because she is well versed in science, the humans and the church deem her a witch and burns her at the stake.
She's a witch.
And Dracula essentially was like, "You took away the only person I loved, so I am going to get my revenge upon the world."
Granted, he said, "I give you 1 year to leave."
And they don't.
That's on them.
So, but I do like certain versions of that, but in terms of overall which one I prefer, I do prefer Dracula as like the final boss villain, so to speak, because vampires are essentially predators of the night. They are, they're essentially the boogeyman. And it's always fun to imagine the boogeyman.
Wasn't there a movie called Monster Squad?
Yes.
Yes, there was.
With Dracula as one of the villains?
Yes.
Yes.
He was the leader.
There's another version.
But that one's not really family friendly, though.
Is it not?
No, it's more like a PG-13 kind of...
Okay, but PG-13 is still kind of family friendly.
Yeah, well, they stick a dynamite in the Wolfman and he explodes. It's not really a good thing.
Hey, it worked in Jaws.
Yeah.
But
that's not necessarily family friendly either.
Well, I was going to say, I was like, do you really want your 5-year-old to be experiencing that?
Colin watched Jurassic Park as a 3-year-old. And you know what he said when somebody got eaten?
Uh-oh.
Not everyone is Colin, okay?
Yeah, those are like highlights of my childhood with Colin right there. Our parents took us to see, I think it was the 3rd Jurassic Park movie, and Colin's a little kid, and dinosaur eats somebody, and Colin, in the middle of the theater, surrounded by adults, and me. I'm not an adult at this point. I'm just a kid, but a kid who likes dinosaurs. And you hear, the first time somebody gets eaten by a dinosaur, you hear Colin go, "Oops." And everyone starts laughing. Then later there's something else happened, and Colin, once again, in the middle of a quiet theater, we're all like zoned in on this movie, and somebody gets eaten, and Colin goes, well, that looks like it hurt, and everyone's dying of laughter. So, in case you were wondering, can Jurassic Park be a comedy? Yes, if you take a 3-year-old to the theater. And that's my rant about that.
All I'm saying is not everyone is going to be like,
No.
Colin and want to, show their kids an exploding werewolf.
No. And if that's not something for you, please do not show that to your child. Please make sure, this is like the subtitle for this episode, but parents, please make sure you're out there checking the ratings and the stuff that your children are watching in media, because as a parent, that is one of your jobs.
It's like, we don't want to hear people complaining that they brought their kids to see Deadpool when there's blood and cursing and
they literally told you it was not for kids.
It's a superhero movie. Why would...
No, it's not.
It's a Deadpool movie.
It's not a superhero movie.
Yeah. So...
That is not a superhero movie.
Well, but speaking of superheroes, though, unless there's something else...
Oh, no, yep, good segue.
Unless there's any more version of Dracula we want to talk about.
Nope, we're good. We are dragged out, so that concludes the first episode of Oh, the Horror!
Oh, the horror. But speaking of superheroes, so for the month of March, we are going to be doing something a little bit different. It's very similar to our Halloween episode, but we're going to do something marvelous. Bad pun aside, we are going to be talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
It's Marvelous March here at the Mc&Marren podcast.
So we'll go a little bit more into depth with what we're doing on that episode, but essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about certain characters in the MCU and talking about their movies.
Loki may or may not get his own episode. I'm working, okay? I'm trying here, people.
Also, for DC fans, you are not forgotten. We have a separate month set aside for you.
DC gets a different month.
That's going to be later on in the summer.
Brownie points if you can figure out which month it's going to be. And the alliteration.
All right.
And for your brownie points, you get absolutely nothing.
Except you get our eternal respect. Yay.
Yeah, so join us next week for the first episode of Marvelous March.
All right, we'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.